Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Pam Hurley with us. Pam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm Pam Hurley. I am the owner and founder of Hurley Wright Incorporated, and we're certified women in small business. We've been in business for about 35 years, and what we do is we do a multitude of things, but the primary focus of the business has been on creating and designing customized writing workshops for professionals, technical writing, scientific writing, business writing, that kind of thing. So clients have included Pfizer, Novartis, Genentech, Raytheon, Pratt Whitney. So we work with some of the Facebook Meta. We work with and continue to work with some of the largest corporations in the world.
Okay, so what inspired you to start Hurley Ride?
Well, I was working in academia, and for people who've ever worked in academia, you know that it is an awful gig in terms of pay, and it's just awful. And I was working really, really hard in making hardly anything, and so I felt like I've got to do something else. So that was A. B was I was teaching a lot of people so I developed the technical writing class because the folks who were taking, they have to take the required English courses, English 101 and 102, and a lot of them were complaining that it wasn't helping them in terms of their writing. So I developed a technical writing workshop, a technical writing class, and got very positive results from that because it was based on readability studies. And then so I said, well, gosh, if it's working for these students, chances are really good that it would work for industry as well. And so I literally just started getting on the phone with companies and saying, pitching them the workshop, and 35 years later, here we are. So it was pay, and it was a frustration with, or it was is a recognition that probably most professionals weren't well trained to write for the workplace, which is true and continues to be true to this day.
How's your life before starting Hurley Ride and how's after, like right now?
Well, I mean, being in your own business is great and also frightening. I mean, there are days when I'm like, not anymore, but in the early days, it's like, what the hell am I doing? And why am I doing this? And who's gonna who's gonna, purchase this service to, the exhilaration of seeing people improve and having clients come back over and over and over again because of the impact that our workshops make.
Okay, so what are the core writing principles you teach in your business writing workshop?
Yeah, everything we teach is based on readability studies. So we don't teach grammar.
Okay, uh-huh.
Because grammar, you can be
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best grammarian in the world and not be able to write worth of crap. So everything we teach is based on readability. And what that means is there are actually people who do scholarly work on how do readers read and how do we best appeal to readers. And so everything that we teach is based on those readability studies. For instance, one of the things we know, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, is that the way that readers read now is very different than the way that they read 5 years ago because we're bombarded with information. So it's highly unlikely that someone is going to take a document that you've provided and read it from beginning to end. So if that's the case, we may not like that. But if that's the case, then how do we appeal to those particular those particular readers? And there's a science behind it. So everything we teach is science based on what we know about how readers read. And it eliminates when writers know this, right? Professionals know this. It eliminates a lot of the angst. It reduces the amount of time they spend, and it helps them write more effective documents more quickly because it's not a lot of, I guess this is okay, or this sounds okay, or whatever, because there's real science behind it.
Okay. So, what are the most common writing mistake you see professionals make, and how do your workshop help them correct them?
Well, I don't know that there's a common mistake because we don't work on tips and tricks and things like that. But I think one of the things that a lot of professionals don't do is they don't think deeply enough about who they're writing for. B, they don't have any strategies to write for those readers. So it's just kind of like, well, my reader is my boss, and then they just tend to turn out the same stuff over and over and over again. So there's no planning, there's no thought, there's no strategy. And the reality is that the vast majority of the professionals we work with, they hate writing. That is like the last thing they want to do. And so when you are tasked with something that you don't want to do, being human beings, the natural inclination is to put it off or not do it at all, or just like, I just have to get through this, which
Mhm.
is very, I mean, it's just part of being human. It's like anything else. If you don't like exercise, you're not gonna exercise. You're gonna put it off or whatever the case may be. So those are the things, the obstacles, the things that we see very, very often. And while our workshops don't necessarily make people love writing, that's not the goal. They do give people strategies so that writing is less onerous. It's less of a burden for them.
Mm. Yeah. So, what unique exercise or method do you use to help participants strengthen their writing skills during the workshop?
Yeah, so everything we teach again is based on readability studies, and it's all proprietary information. It's all customized to the client. There's no generic kind of thing that we use. I mean, we incorporate breakout sessions, we incorporate exercises, but everything is customized to the client.
Okay, so I'm guessing before you do the workshop, you do some kind of like a back and forth questions.
Yeah, we do an analysis of the client's documents. We look at their documents, we look at reviewers' comments, we look at the tools that they have in place, template style guides, and those kinds of things, so that we can design a workshop that meets their needs. Yeah, and it's unique for every single client.
Can you share a before and after example of a participant writing that dramatically improve after going through your workshop?
Well, we can't do that because everything we do is proprietary. We don't do public workshops.
Uh-huh.
So we sign an NDA with all of our clients. So everything we do, yeah, everything we work on is proprietary.
Okay, so if you want, you can do like this. You can keep them anonymous and you can tell them before and after.
Yeah, so I can't do that. I mean, I just everything we I would be breaching our contract, our NDA
Okay,
with
okay,
it to do it
okay,
before.
okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, for someone who is struggling with writing, so
Yeah.
what's your suggestion for them?
I can't.
Okay, what's your suggestion for them?
Yeah, suggestion. Sorry, yeah, it's a little muddled. So one of the things that we again find oftentimes that writers don't do is do a deep dive into who their readers are. And you have to do that. You have to figure out who you're writing for. And that goes beyond just I'm writing for Joe or I'm writing for my boss. You have to figure out why they're reading, how they read, because a lot of people assume that if I write the document, they're going to read it. You shouldn't assume that. Right? So most readers now are in fact, they're skimmers, and so how do you write for a skimmer? So those are some of the concepts that we go over in our workshops is how do you write for skimmers, A, and then B, how do you cut down on verbosity? Because verbosity is, again, one of those things that a lot of people, especially engineers, fall into the trap of just putting in so much information that they muddle the message, and that just stems from not knowing who you're writing for, A, and then B, not knowing what you're trying to achieve. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what it is you want the reader to do, right? So if I write you an email, I have to know what it is I want you to do. If I don't know what I want you to do, chances are good I'm just going to include a lot of junk that nobody needs. And you don't need either. And you're confused by the message because there's so much information and then that's irrelevant.
So, what would you tell yourself if you could go back in time and start your company again?
That's a great question. If I could do it again, I would hire people earlier than I did. I did it all myself for the first 20 years. Um, and I would hire people much earlier than I did because there's a lot when you don't, as a bootstrap company, no investors or anything like that. So I was doing it all myself and doing a lot of traveling and all that kind of fun stuff, which was great. But in retrospect, the company would have grown much faster and we would have been more cohesive isn't the right word, but anyway, we would have had a much smoother path, I think, if I had been smart enough to hire people earlier. Now we have a team. We started hiring a team about 5 years ago. So that's what I would have done differently.
Okay, okay. With all the success you have, what's the one thing that is most challenging for you right now?
The challenging part is, and it's always been, is educating people about the value of not the value of writing, but training, teaching, educating people about the fact that people can learn better writing skills. Because a lot of people believe either you're born with it or you're not, and that's just totally not true. Or people thinking, well, good writing is grammar. Good writing has zero to do with grammar. Zero. But we get that, oh, my team can't write. They need grammar help. No, they don't. They do not need grammar help. That is the last thing they need. So it's that. And it's also helping companies understand that writing and reviewing and the tool, this is all an ecosystem. So what happens is it's, oh, our clients are unhappy because of the writing. The documents aren't clear. Okay, maybe the writers don't maybe the writers do need to improve their skills, but rarely, if ever, do companies look at the reviewers and go, "Hey, what kind of comments are you making? How long is it taking you to review this document? And are the comments you're making actionable?" And then to look at the tool, oh, we have templates in place. And you look at the templates and they're awful. Nobody can use them. So consequently, nobody is using them, or they don't have a style guide in place. So there's all this stuff around writing that is erroneous and is mistaken. And it just, and oftentimes you'll see reviewers and some of the reviewer comments I've seen in my career have been like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like there was one engineering director, I'm not kidding you. And when he didn't like something that one of his engineers had written, he would write OMG with exclamation points. So as a writer, what are you supposed to do with that information? You can't, it's not actionable. So reviewers oftentimes have no idea what kind of comments to make that are going to actually improve the documents. The things they focus on oftentimes are minutia or pet peeves. I actually had a client once, this was several years ago, and I was working with one of her, I'm reading the document and helping her, edit it. And it's just like, well, this doesn't make any sense to me. What does it mean? She told me, and I said, well, all you have to do is add the word that. Oh no, we can't use the word that. Our manager will not let us use the word that. So it's stupid stuff like that people get really hung up on because that's what they know, or that's what they think they know. And one of the things we talk to reviewers about is, listen, if you can't justify why you're making a comment, then don't make the comment. You may not like the word that or which or whatever, which is really stupid, but that's not a justifiable reason to make a comment because you don't like something. Does it improve the value of the document for the reader? And that should be a reviewer's underlying mantra. Am I making comments that are actually going to improve the quality of the document? And if I'm not, and if I can't justify, then I shouldn't be making them. I kind of went off on a rant there. So
No, it's totally okay. Okay, so for our listeners who are resonating with what you're saying, where can they go to connect with you or get help from your company?
yeah, that sounds great. My email is PAM at Hurleywrite, HurleyWrite.com. Connect with us on LinkedIn. The website is hurleywrite.com. And our phone number is 877-249-7443. So we are readily available. We're waiting for the phone calls.
Yes, on the hand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Pam, for joining us, and it was really fun chatting with you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.